Welcome in, everyone, and thanks for taking the time to view this demonstration today. Today, I'm going to be demonstrating the Rhythm Systems Execution software. And before I get into it, I'd just like to provide a quick background on who we are and how we help organizations scale. What it really takes to be successful for an organization, especially in the mid-market, when you're trying to grow the organization, when you're trying to provide alignment, drive execution, drive accountability, drive visibility into your organizational goals, your strategy, and really overall making your organization successful so you reach your dreams and goals. Rhythm systems exist to help you get there. And how do we do that? Well, we have three different tiered system that we use to really encompass a total solution for your organization, because we know what it takes over the past 20 years being in business to help your organization succeed and to allow you to hit your goals and dreams that you aspire to in the future. So this process is involved first around a methodology. In order for your organization to be successful and to really drive the right habits throughout your organization and your executive team, it comes down to following a fundamental methodology, installing a fundamental structure in your organization to allow your organization to grow from the roots up, to establish that healthy foundation, and to make sure that everybody in your organization is moving in the right direction. That follows our think, plan, do methodology. It was coined by our founder and CEO, Patrick Tian. And Patrick actually wrote a book called Rhythm, which I encourage everybody to read. And it really dives into the foundational concepts of how you're going to establish this foundation, how you're going to allow your organization to grow to the next level. The next step here is our execution software. And that's what I'm going to get into today, is a demonstration into the currently highest rated execution platform in the market today. And our execution platform is really designed to do exactly that. Is designed to drive execution in the workplace. It's designed to drive accountability, drive alignment, and ensure that once you have your strategic plan created, you have a place to document that plan, track that plan, and making sure that you're making the right decisions to stay on track to that plan as well. Then the last step in the process here is our coaching and consulting team. We have a team of in-house coaches and consultants. They follow and were taught the Rhythm methodology and are experts in that area. But more importantly, they're experts in business consulting, meaning they have facilitated thousands of planning sessions of organizations of all shapes and sizes. They are ex-CEOs and executives themselves. They have 20 and 30 plus years of experience in the industry and business and self, to really make sure that they're bringing the best practices into your organization so you can create the best version of your strategic plan possible. A lot of CEOs come to me, and I've been doing this for a long time now, say, Nick, I have a really good strategic plan. Well, let us come in and take a look at your plan, because that's not always the case. It's not about not believing that you don't have a strong plan. It's about ensuring that your plan is tight, it's bulletproof, there's no gaps, and that you're ready to execute on that plan. Because without that strong, detailed, bulletproof strategic plan, nothing else matters. The software won't be effective for your organization. The methodology will be hard to follow. So ensuring that that strategic plan is executable, is strong, and has a strong foundation is really an integral part of the process. So we want to ensure that that strategic plan is strong. We want to ensure that you're giving your organization the opportunity to constantly make adjustments on that plan. And that comes through quarterly planning and annual planning. Annual planning every year, making sure that you're getting back into the room with your team. You're discussing what the next 12 months look like for your organization. How is it going to be successful? And reaffirming your 3 to 5 year or your longer term visionary goal for your organization as well. For your quarterly planning sessions, you still want to get back in the room with your team. You want to take time away from the business and work on it as opposed to in it, right? Allowing your organization to work on the business, you're giving your organization more opportunities to make the right adjustments, to stay on track to your annual plan, and to make sure that you are executing every 90 days and coming up with a new plan every 90 days in order to make sure that you are hitting your longer term targets for the organization. So I wanted to provide a brief overview, because this is what it takes for organizations to be successful. This is what it takes for organizations to reach their dreams and goals. We've helped countless organizations do this. The most successful organizations in the world have followed this process from the very beginning, and they still follow this process now. from zero to IPO. The process is the same, and it's going to help you to get to that next level of growth. Now, before I get into the software, the last step I wanted to cover was our language of success. And that is the most universal common business language out there. That is the red, yellow, green, and super green success criteria. Green is your successful outcome, of course. Red is just as important as green because we want to identify what failure or unacceptable looks like. When we get into our goals and we establish our goals for our organization, we want to know when there's an emergency or when something is failing so we can immediately make the right adjustments week over week during our weekly meetings and quarter over quarter during our quarterly adjustment meetings to make sure that we stay on track, to make sure that we make the right adjustments and get back towards green again. It's the same with yellow. Yellow is still off track. There's something from preventing this goal from being green or from statusing green. So we want to make sure that we focus our discussions during our time together on the reds and on the yellows, right? We know the greens are on track. We know the super greens or your stretch goals are exceeding expectations. That's fantastic. We want to see that across the board. But in reality, that's not the case. That's going to happen every time, right? You're always going to have some reds. You're always going to have some yellows. And those are the opportunities that you want to take advantage of. Those are the opportunities you want to focus on. And those are the conversations that you want to have during your weekly meetings, during your quarterly planning sessions, and during your annual planning sessions to make sure that you come up with the right solutions to stay on track, to get your business back on track, so you can ultimately hit your targets and be successful in the long run. With that said, I'm going to jump over to our software and provide this demonstration, focusing on some of the key areas, the high-level key areas. When your team starts in software, of course, it's a change management process. We are going to make this process as easy and as efficient as possible for you. We're going to onboard your team as quickly as we can, as quickly as you will allow us to, working at your speed to make sure that this is fully adoptable for your organization, to make sure that your team spends the time working on their daily responsibilities, their main priorities, but also giving the right attention to making sure that this is going to make their job more successful. This is going to make their job easier and more efficient. That's the purpose of the Rhythm Systems execution software. It's going to provide more visibility in your organization. It's going to provide more efficient meetings in your organization, more productive meetings in your organization. It's going to provide faster decisions for your company. It's going to provide more execution in your organization, more accountability, and more alignment. And I can guarantee that everybody listening to me right now on this call could probably relate to one or more of those business challenges that I just mentioned, whether it's alignment, whether it's accountability, whether it's execution, whether it's strategic planning. There's always an area that needs improvement in your organization. The Rhythm execution software, the Rhythm Systems itself, is a solution to all of those challenges as a whole. So we can see here, we're on the winning move section, right? When we want to zoom all the way out and get a large picture organization, a high level overview of your organization, the winning moves are your 3 to 5 year strategic initiatives. That's our nomenclature. So for your visionary goals for the company, how are we going to double or triple our growth of our organization over the next 3 to 5 years? We want to envision how we're going to get there. And the first step is establishing those big decisions that are going to get you those targets. So the first example here that we have as a goal is we want to expand into a new market or vertical. The green criteria, meaning the successful outcome, remember, for this goal is doubling our revenue for the company. The owner, meaning the person responsible for tracking this goal, is Jeff, the COO. And then the team working on this goal is the entire organization, of course, because it's a long-term visionary goal for the company. Now, on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll have your path to progress. Jeff is coming in here, as you can see, on a quarterly basis prior to his quarterly planning sessions with his executive team, and he is providing a status update on where this goal is projected to be. We can see here that there's been an issue with this goal holding it up. He's consistently statused a red and a yellow quarter over quarter, so there's something wrong with this goal. The nice thing about our software is it's going to give you a very easy user interface and a very easy method for you to cascade down and dive deeper into figuring out where the problem lies in this organization and why this goal is falling off track. So we can see here that these 3 to 5 year goals are now cascaded to the child goals supporting it. And those child goals as the next step are your annual goals for the organization. We can see we have 2 annual goals here and also a KPI that's contributing towards the success of this winning move above that. The sales revenue, the expand product offerings, and acquire 2 smaller competitors. We have a super green here, fantastic. It's exceeding expectations. We've done more, we've gone above and beyond for this goal, but we have a yellow and we have a red here. So this is where we can dive in and figure out where things are off track, why things are falling off track, and what the teams might be doing to get them back on track again. Now you can continue to cascade this further. And to do that, you're just clicking the caret here. That's cascading you down into your quarterly goals. Now we can see the smaller quarterly goals that organizations or teams in your organization is working on to support the success of each annual goal. And you can keep going further and further as far as you want, as granular as you want. The software will give you the ability to do that. So you can continue to go down. You can see a quarterly project here of launching a new product. Of course, other employees on that team will be contributing towards the success of this quarterly project. So we want to get visibility into that for that team leader, right? Maybe the CEO, maybe the executive team doesn't need that visibility, but the team leader certainly does to ensure the success of this product or this project. We want to make sure that he or she can oversee their team, can make the right adjustments to make sure that they're going to hit success for this goal. The other thing that this does is it provides visibility for employees deeper in the organization to understand the work that they're doing matters. The work that they're doing is contributing to higher level goals for the organization, ultimately to help the organization scale, to help it grow to new heights, to help it achieve its long-term revenue or long-term growth, whether you're for-profit or nonprofit, doesn't matter. You're executing on the goals and the work that you're doing matters. You're driving employee engagement and they understand the role that they have in the organization and how it's affecting the higher level goals above that. So it's important that you get the visibility. It's important that the employees see that visibility as well once you cascade the software a little bit deeper into the organization. So we can see here that we have some issues holding this goal up. So let's jump to the KPI of the sales revenue. John in sales is tracking this goal and he is a status of red for this particular goal. So we can jump over to the goal dashboard for this specific goal and see that this is a quarterly goal of $24 million for the quarter. We can see over here on the right-hand side of the screen, you have your success criteria. It's already identified. So we can see what success looks like. We can see what failure looks like. And we can see that immediately coming into this, that John is statused a red in week 11 prior to the end of the quarter. Remember, 13 weeks in a quarter. This is a quarterly goal. And he's come in here and he's provided a red. So we want to understand why John has provided a red. We can see the data underneath here, which will be pulled in through our API and our software. We don't want your team spending hours updating numbers in the system. These numbers will be automatically populated using middle management software system, and your team can pull that data in automatically so your team isn't spending time. We want the user to come in and we want them to update their status prior to the weekly meeting. Just spend a couple minutes and figure out where they're projected to be. We're statusing 20 million for the quarter currently in week 11. So John has come in here. He has statused a red. He has put in the projected number of 20 million, and what their actual number is currently will be automatically populated. Now we want John to write a comment associated with this status update. This is statused red. There's a failure. There's an emergency with this goal. We're approaching the end of the quarter. How do we get this goal out of red and back towards green again in the next 2 weeks? Well, John's going to provide a comment here to start that conversation. And we can see here in the comment thread, John is saying, this is why me or my team is yellow or red this week. This is our path back to green. So not only do you have a status update, you have a conversation started in the software where anybody can come in and reply to make sure that they have that first step or that problem is identified at least in the software where the leaders can come in and say, okay, I understand this is red. This is why it's red. And our next weekly meeting, we need to figure out an action plan and get this goal back towards green again by the time the 13th week in the quarter hits, by the time the quarter ends, right? So you are doing this on a weekly basis. The most successful organizations in the world meet at least with their leadership team on a weekly basis to discuss these reds, to discuss these yellows, and to make sure that you have problems solved by the time you leave that meeting, or at least have a conversation started and a path towards solving those problems by the time you leave that meeting. This provides more help during your weekly meetings. It focuses them on problem solving and adjustments rather than status updates. The status updates are completed prior to the weekly meeting. The conversation is started prior to the weekly meeting, and now you're just elaborating on these conversations and collaborating with your team members to get these back towards green again. A couple of other things, you can also assign the team tasks to make sure that they stay on target, to make sure that they get back on target, whatever it might be. All that's in the collaboration section here in the software. It gives you all the information that you need at your fingertips to make faster decisions and to make sure that you're making the right adjustments week over week and quarter over quarter to stay on track. Now, one of the last areas here I wanted to touch base on is actually our meeting section. So when we come in, you have an entire area to house all of your meetings, whether it's your quarterly planning sessions, your annual planning sessions, or your weekly leadership meetings. So in the weekly leadership meetings, we want to follow a structured agenda, right? So we want to make sure that it's very important that we're spending the time together on the right things. It's expensive to bring your leadership team together for 60 or 90 minutes or longer each week. We want to make sure that you get your return on payroll back and you're making the right decisions during this weekly meeting. They're not boring, wasted space. They're not going over status updates. They are specifically focused on reviewing the reds and the yellows, reviewing what's off track, finding solutions to get them back on track, and also reviewing what the next week ahead looks like and what the teams are focused on. And in this area, it's the week in sync. It's focused on 5 key areas. Are there any agenda items that me or my team need to discuss this week? How am I going to be successful at the end of next week? So you're envisioning the end of next week and what it will take to be successful. Third would be, are there any victories that I can share with my team members as best practices that happened in this previous week? Fourth would be, what are the couple of key priorities that I'm focused on? What do I need to do to continue moving forward with my team this week, the top priorities? And then the last area is any stucks or travel or out of office notifications, right? Am I traveling this week? Do I need someone else to run the weekly meeting or facilitate it? Is there anything I'm stuck on with my team that's preventing us from moving forward for our goals or our priorities? I want to make sure that I discuss that right now. You're continuing to hold your team accountable. You're continuing to drive alignment with your team through this process. And it's important and an integral part of your meeting to make sure that everybody continuously moves forward and nobody's left in the dark. Nobody's left with confusion, and everybody knows exactly what they need to do to have a successful week moving forward. The last area here would be our goal dashboards. When you come into work in the morning as a leader and you want the full visibility into how your team is performing, how your team is operating, and where things are off track, you don't want to go searching through the software in different screens. You want everything in one screen in front of you. And that's exactly what this area gives you. It's the goal dashboard section. So if you're a CEO, if you're just a leader or a manager of a team, whoever it might be, you get the overview, the high level outlook of how your teams are performing in which specific areas. And these are customizable. So every single area of the organization or every area of the organization can be provided on one screen. So you can review this at your fingertips, come in here and say, great, we have greens, we have super greens in some of my teams, but I do see we have some reds. I do see we have some yellows. That's where I want to focus my time and effort on, not on the greens and what I know is on track. I want to figure out what the teams are doing or how I can help the teams that are off track get back on track again. So this is exactly what the screen is for. It's one of the most helpful areas of our software, and it's very highly utilized along with our meetings feature and along with making sure that you're providing the visibility through the different goals in the organization from your 3 to 5 year, from your annual goals, all the way down to your quarterly goals and beyond. From the top of the screen here, you'll also be separating your goals into different personas. You'll have the company viewpoint for all of your goals, say from an annual perspective. Here are all the annual goals for the entire company that the company is working on. But each team in your organization will also have their own area of goals that they're working on, right? So the IT team will have their own set of goals, HR, marketing, operations, sales, so on and so forth. They're going to be paying attention to the goals that their team or their department is working on. So you can separate that in any area that you want here. You can create as many teams, as many locations, whatever you want to call them. It's completely customizable along with all of these labels and changes as well. Even the individual viewpoint, when you go over to the individual, I want to track my specific goals when I come into the software in the morning. So I can make sure that I update these goals by the end of the week. and I make sure that I'm on track, or if I'm off track, I'm having those discussions with my team leader during the meeting so I can make sure that we have the right decisions made, we have the right discussions during that time together to get back on track before the end of the quarter. So this is what helps to drive the alignment, the continuous accountability and execution. The last area I'll touch base on is the strategy side. In the strategy side, this is a lot of the work that you'll be doing during your strategic planning sessions that are paramount to the success of your business. I'll say it once again. So for your annual planning sessions and your quarterly planning sessions, some of these areas might be helpful for you. Do you need to discuss or review a SWOT analysis for your organization? Do we need to revisit this? Do we need to look at the core foundation of our organization again? Do we need to change any of these areas around core values, BHAG, core competencies, core customer? Or maybe we want to look at the growth plan. Here's the 30,000 foot overview of your organization and how you're going to get to that dream goal, that North Star goal. If you're not familiar with the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal that you have for your organization for the future. So here's your base camp where you're establishing the core foundation. And then here are your 3 to 5 year goals that you're getting to the next base camp, that you're establishing for the next base camp. We want to make sure that you get there. We want to make sure that you're making the right decisions as a team to get there, and you're doing it successfully. You're moving faster, you're making the right decisions, and you're keeping your organization aligned all the way up until that mountaintop. Thank you very much for your time today. Any questions, set up some time with me. I'm happy to help and dive a little bit deeper. The software we have is very robust. However, we will start in a very simplified version with you. We will make sure that we touch just the key areas that are helpful for your business, and we will unlock all the other features as time goes on and you get more comfortable. We want to make this process as easy, as efficient as possible to make sure that your team is fully adopted, to make sure your team is fully onboarded, and they're spending their time on the day-to-day operations of the business to provide the most high-level value that we can. Thank you very much.